Well, hello everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Story to Screen podcast, the movie podcast where we review all different kinds of movies, new and old. I am your host, Chris, and joining me again in quite some time, actually, because it's been a while since you and I actually done a review together. I mean, we did Jurassic Park, but just between the two of us, it's been a while.
Just the old original peeps.
Yeah. And oh yes, ladies and gentlemen, joining us for the first time on the female side of things.
What?
Well, yes, for the first time on Story to Screen, we have a lady on our show. Abigail Ling, welcome to Story to Screen. Hey, how's it going?
Thank you very much. It is quite an honor to be here.
You're very welcome. You don't have to be that sarcastic.
Okay,
No, I liked it.
Do you want me to do it again?
No, it's okay. It's okay. We're playing. This is stuff that I'm going to probably use anyway. So, no, we'll. That's fine. That's cool. So, Abigail, why don't you tell us a little about yourself and what you do?
Well, I'm 17. I like to play guitar, and I just started playing ukulele, and I have a YouTube channel where I sometimes play music, and other times I talk about my collections. I collect dolls and toys and stuffed animals and just cute things in general. So I have a really fun YouTube channel that I love to make videos for. So that is kind of what I do in my daily life. Besides eat, I eat a lot of food. So that is one of my favorite things, is to eat and sleep, not gonna lie.
Okay, we're on to a really good start here. Just trying to get your good personality check. So, are you a big fan of movies and that type of thing?
I am. I'm more of a animation person, actually. I like a lot of Pixar and Disney films, and I do like musicals. I like cheesy ones. The Court Jester is one of my favorite ones, if you've ever seen that.
The one with Danny Kaye?
Yes.
Yes, I've seen that. It's been a long time, though, since I've seen it.
It's really...
Vessel and the Pestle was the Bruise True or something like that.
Oh, I can't even remember. It's crazy.
I can't even remember the line where he's trying to say he's trying to remember the spell and all that.
That's exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah. And the vessel with the pestle is the brew that is true.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Yes.
So so what is the name of your YouTube channel again? Sissy Reviews, right?
Actually, no. It is now called Miss Happy Narwhal. So youtube.com/Miss Happy Narwhal, you will find my YouTube channel.
Okay, great. So check her out, people. I'm sure you'll find a lot of interesting things there about toys, and you also do some film reviews, right?
We used to. I'm sure you can find them at, what's the channel? I can't remember.
That one is youtube.com/Sib1Ling. It's like sibling. She is my sister, and we used to do lots of stuff with our siblings, and our channel was Sibling Productions. So it's youtube.com/Sib, SIB1Ling, Ling. So you can check Sissy Reviews out there. She plays a goofy character on that.
Okay, there you go. Tonight's movie review will be the new live-action Cinderella movie. Yes. After finally pushing myself, I was like, you know what? We're going to do this movie. So
time to do a chick flick.
Yes, we did a chick flick a year ago, actually. So Mom's Night Out between...
Oh, yeah, that thing.
Yeah.
I wasn't involved with that.
No, it was just Ben and I for that one. And so, after a while of doing like a bunch of guy movies, it was like, you know what, it's time to do something different. And I said to myself, you know what, I want to make a milestone on this show. I want to have a female point of view on this show, which we got. So anyway,
Sure thing.
So hopefully this episode's going to be a good one. I'm sure it will be. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into our review of Cinderella.
I want to tell you a secret that will see you through all the trials that life can offer. Have courage and be kind.
She'll merely be your stepmother, and you'll have two lovely sisters to keep you company. So I'll know, as far away as I may be, that you'll be safe.
Wouldn't you prefer to eat when all the work is done, Ella?
Yes, stepmother.
Mother. Oh, you needn't call me that. Madam will do.
Cinderwench. Dirty Ella. Cinderella.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Are you all right, miss? What did they call you?
Never mind what they call me.
I'm sorry.
It's not your doing.
Nor yours either, I'll bet. I hope to see you again, miss.
And I you.
What you just heard was the trailer for the new movie Cinderella. It's directed by Kenneth Branagh and stars Lily James, Cate Blanchett, and Helena Bonham Carter. Guys, I'll have to admit that prior to going into this movie, or prior, like months ago, way, a long time ago, I was, when I first heard about this movie, I was like, oh, okay, another Cinderella flick. I mean, it's gonna probably be like another Maleficent and another one of those, Alice in Wonderlands, where I was just like, not gonna probably bother seeing it, which I did see Alice in Wonderland, but not Maleficent, mind you, but I wasn't really interested when it was first announced, and then all of a sudden, I heard that Kenneth Branagh was involved, and that kind of piqued my interest, but not enough. And then I began to see some footage, and I was like, okay, this is actually looking really interesting. This actually might be really good. And then a couple weeks ago, as I just said earlier, I just said to myself, you know what? I want to do something different. There's this new Cinderella movie coming out. I'm going to go see it. And to be kind of honest, I think the main draw with this movie for me was the fact that Kenneth Branagh, who is a wonderful actor, Shakespearean actor, by the way, and a director as well, who has directed many Shakespearean movies such as Henry V and Hamlet, and just more recently Thor, the Marvel Studio movie. So when I saw this movie, I was just really won over by this movie. It was such a charming, delightful, beautifully done movie, and the performances were great. The costumes were gorgeous. Like I'm putting my foot down right now that this movie, I think, is going to be the first contender for a best costume nomination at the Oscars next year. Just a beautiful movie, and very delightful and gorgeous, just absolutely gorgeous to look at. And I think Lily James, the actress who plays Cinderella, I think she's going to be a pretty big star after this. Joshua, what do you think?
I went into this movie more so from the perspective that I've always loved the Cinderella story, and I'm not particularly fond of the remix movies that are coming out lately. That's what I like to call them, because it's similar in the music industry when someone will take a movie, or a song, and they'll remix it, add the whatever take they have to it, but it's still essentially the same song. I didn't know how much they were going to make different, how much they were going to make the same, and it was kind of, whatever in that regard. I think the biggest compliment that I can give this movie is this. I went in, and up until the ball, I kept asking myself the question, why does this exist? Not that it was bad, mind you, but I kept asking, why does this exist? Give me a reason for this to exist. And then there wasn't exactly one specific part that hit it for me, but I finally realized, you know what? This is a story that has stood the test of time. It is one of the oldest fairy tales that exists, and this is a love letter to that story. It isn't even truly a Disney remix, dark version, whatever story. To me, this is a love letter to the actual fairy tale itself. And that was the thing that I was won over by in the end. I had some nitpicks. So the first two things that come to mind very briefly were the constant narration throughout the movie. I think narration is good to set a movie. I don't like it during the middle of a movie, and sometimes it's good to bookend a movie. And then the other thing was, I think there was a little bit too much CGI where there could have been some very beautiful practical effects that would have gone well with the absolutely breathtaking scenery.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
that those are my two little nitpicks right off the top.
Oh, Abigail, I just actually wanted to ask you one thing real quickly. Are you a fan of the original movie, by the way?
I have not seen it in a long time, but I do have good memories of watching it, and I did like it. And I feel like one scene in particular that this movie did that kind of fell flat in regards to the other film is where the girls take the dress, like rip the dress that Cinderella is wearing that she has made. In the movie, in the original movie, it was absolutely heartbreaking. It like would bring me to tears, and maybe I'm just not as emotionally unstable as I was at 5 years old. But this movie, it was very sad when they tore the dress and when they were mocking her. But in the movie, the Disney one way back in the day, it was brutal. I'm not even kidding. It was really, really harsh then. But that was my thoughts on that part in particular.
But what did you think of the new movie?
Oh, wow. Well, I was excited to see it because it did not look like, as you said, it did not look like Maleficent or Alice in Wonderland. It looked like a actual live-action Cinderella that wanted to be true to the source material as much as it could be. And I liked it. I feel like I enjoyed more actually watching it with my eyes and listening with my ears, but not... Some of the dialogue was very awkward, in my opinion. I don't know.
Yes.
The chemistry between some of these actors was very, like, weird. Like, I did not get the chemistry between Cinderella and the prince at all. Maybe I was the only one who noticed that. But, like, not that they
I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was great. But...
I didn't think that they got together well at all, like, in their interaction. It just felt like, not that in the first movie that they, like, were totally in love and they were meant to be, because they had way more interaction in this one than in the original. But I don't know. I think one of my favorite things was the stepmother got a lot of character development that I did not expect. Yeah, and I thought the actress did wonderfully as, what was her name? Lady Tremaine?
Yeah, Lady Tremaine.
Yeah, and the sisters were not too over the top. That's one thing Joshua mentioned that I
Well, they were over the top, but they weren't shoved down your throat by the movie.
What was shoved down your throat was the mice.
Yeah, I really feel like the mice and the way they did the fairy godmother
they were out of place.
Were anytime Disney went with what was in the previous movie, the animated film, instead of sticking with source material, I feel the film mostly fell kind of flat. One of the things that they did, however, that was very Disney that I'll point out was the song that she sings is an old folk song that Cinderella sings in the movie, Lavender's Blue, Dilly Dilly, but it's actually most famously, at least most recently famous because of I don't remember what movie it's from, but it's from a live-action Disney movie in which Burl Ives, the snowman who sings Holly Jolly Christmas, sings Lavender's Blue, Dilly Dilly. Yeah, it's pretty great.
Lavender's green.
Yeah.
None of you guys like the Helena Bonham Carter's fairy godmother? Or you felt like she wasn't, well,
Yeah, I enjoyed her more than Joshua did because she reminded me of Galinda from Wicked, and I almost expected her to start singing Popular. It was going to be really great. It was great in my imagination, but it never happened. I liked her, but Joshua did not.
I feel like she had some wonderful parts, especially at the very beginning when she's looking like an old hag or whatever, and she asks for milk, and Cinderella, kind of shows she's kind. That's very close to the original fairy tale. I think that I didn't like the use of Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo just because it was in the...
It was a throwaway line.
Yeah. A little homage to the original movie. So.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, fine, whatever. You can, doesn't mean you should kind of a thing. And then the other thing is... It almost felt like Doctor Who was giving her,
wouldn't that be amazing?
all her pumpkin and everything else. I did like the sequence. I'd like the goose and the lizard characters.
Those creeped me out to no end.
Those were fun.
I was creeped out by Lizard Man.
I actually honestly thought for one moment there, because there was because by that point in time you had a slew of pretty much a lot of familiar faces from television and film. You had Derek Jacobi, Alexander Skarsgård, Richard Manning from Game of Thrones, and Cate Blanchett. I thought for one moment there for the footmen and for the driver, I thought they were going to throw in somebody famous. You know what I mean? Like
an Ian McKellen?
Oh, well, that, or, well, some maybe like famous British actor, like an Eddie Izzard or something like that. Or I actually thought for one moment they were gonna, one of the lizard guys was actually gonna be like Alec Cumming from X-Men or Spike Kid. I thought that
I could see that.
That would have been cool. I actually thought that's what it was gonna be. But instead it was just these regular dudes.
They didn't really need the star power in that regard.
No, but I thought it would have been. I thought it would have been kind of fun. I thought at one moment it was going to lead up to that, but it didn't, and that's not a big deal to me.
Ella, I almost forgot. Remember, the magic will only last so long. With the last echo of the last bell at the last stroke of midnight, the spell will be broken, and all will return to what it was before.
Midnight.
Midnight.
That's more than enough time.
Off you go then.
Thank you. Oh, thank you.
Goosey, go!
Now, how well do you think this movie separated itself from the original animated movie? I thought it did a fair job. I mean, like, it wasn't like an exact rip-off, so to speak, of the original movie. It didn't. It probably paid some homages, but I think it did a fair enough separation to keep itself to stand on its own 2 feet. Which I think that's why it's been getting a lot of praise for standing on its own.
I think one thing in particular that separated itself was I feel like the fashions were very unique. Like they almost had a 50s style to them at some point. Maybe I just noticed this because I like fashion, but some of the dresses were rather short for the time period. Like they didn't even have a set time period. It seemed like things were like they could do.
It was the fairy
wanted.
tale time period, which I thought was nice.
Yeah, because I thought that was very interesting, and I feel like there was a lot more visually to look at. Like, I do love animation, and I do love the original Cinderella film, but I feel like the visuals is what made it so interesting to me, and I think the further character development for Lady Tremaine
really, and Cinderella. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Yes, which I really enjoyed for the beginning.
Yeah, definitely. I think Joshua put it best when he and I spoke about it the other night. He said that in the original Cinderella, you feel like during the movie, you are one of the mice helping her along in her journey, and you want her to succeed.
You're cheering for her,
yes,
but you're a
cheering.
sideline player as your perspective goes.
Yes, and as for this movie, you feel more like you are her, and you're sharing in her trials, and you're sharing in her triumphs, and it's more of a personal view of the story, if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. That's a good point, Joshua. I mean, yeah, in the original movie, you kind of saw things somewhat from the mice's point of view, and then with this movie, yeah, you got more of her, a lot more of her point of view on everything. I mean, and I think for the most part, that really worked. I mean, in here, and you know, we can kind of talk about this a little bit more later on, but I liked how her story, evolves from heartbreak, because you never got that in the original movie. I mean, you got this. I mean, yeah, you found out that her father had died, and you do see him really briefly in the animated movie, but you don't really have that much of an emotional attachment. Here, when the mother died, I mean, you see the mother, which played by Agent Carter. I thought they did a really good job with the backstory of her relationship with her mother, and her mother's dying wish is be courageous and kind, which that was a little weird. Like,
they went a little Uncle Ben with that.
That's what I was just thinking. It's like, with great power comes great responsibility. We had like the exact same thought.
I will say though, I do like the message of be courageous and be kind. It is a very, because a lot of people think that those two things are mutually exclusive. To be bold, to be, standing up for someone, for what you believe in, and to also be kind about it. And that's something that I think in the story of Cinderella at its core, the fairy tale itself, the folk story, that is kind of the core of it, is to be courageous and to be kind and to in the movie, it's obviously magic and what else. Keep trusting and believing in like magic and existence of whatever. It doesn't really matter or care. But it really, right? It can still, and it can still, but it can still apply to God too. And trusting in God. And I guarantee you, there's probably way more versions of that way in the story than there are with magic. Quite honestly, like that exist out there in the story sphere.
Yeah, people made adaptations probably.
Yep. So anyway.
But can you probably try to explain to me the courageous part? Because I saw her being, being kind to her stepmother and her sisters, even through the troubled times. But can you please explain to me the courageous part? Because I kind of was missing that part for some reason.
Well, put yourself in her shoes for a minute. She was locked in an attic at one point in the movie, and she's eating breadcrumbs. She's starved, basically.
And it's not so much just grinning and bearing it either. When she has the opportunity to speak up what is true and right, she does. Now, she never stands up for herself specifically, but that's because she isn't selfish. That's because she's trying to be kind as well. When you're courageous and kind, you think of others before yourself.
Okay.
And so the courageous part of it is when something, when something is right, you're going to stick up for it, but you're not necessarily going to always put yourself forward, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that's okay. That makes a lot more sense, because that part to me, I didn't quite see the courageous part, because I was kind of thinking like, okay, she has to be, is this movie a lesson about being humble? I mean, is she trying to learn self-sacrifice? I mean,
I think there is a message of humility as well. But
yeah, I sensed more humility in this movie than there was being courageous. I think that's what the movie was trying to say. Because I mean, she, even through the worst of times, she was still respecting her stepmother and her sisters, and she never spoke back to them or shoved her, even when at the worst time they didn't get into a squabble. None of that stuff. The typical thing that people do nowadays, which is pretty rotten,
Well, one other thing I thought of that is the be courageous example. She was threatened pretty severely by her stepmother with, like, what was the threat against her? Was it all about
I wanted to talk about that too.
Going to live with her and taking her money? Is that like...
Well, not just that. Like, there were so many different threats and things from Cate Blanchett, and one of the things I wanted to point out with that, with Lady Tremaine, there were 2 points that I was so proud of the movie. One of them was that they totally set up a misunderstanding sequence where she would have been heartbroken because the prince wasn't going to marry her. They set that up, but they didn't commit to it because she's not selfish that way.
Yeah.
They use the character to be happy just to have that one night. And that really drives home to me anyway, like how selfless Cinderella really was in this movie. I thought that was beautiful, and I thought the other thing was they were going to have a whole sequence where, because she wrote it down in her diary, that's exactly how Lady Tremaine would find it and all this kind of stuff. And you can kind of glean that, but they didn't focus on it.
No,
it wasn't this thing where, because she wrote it down, Lady Tremaine found out about it. And I'm glad they didn't go that route, because they're such cliches. They really tried to shy away from the cliches while staying true to a story that is very old and very cliched,
Yeah. I thought for one moment there that she was going to try to get her hands on the prince, Lady Tremaine. I thought she...
That'd be weird.
That would have been weird, but that would have been an interesting twist. I thought they were going to play that card for one moment, and then it was going to come down between her and Cinderella, but that would have been kind of weird.
Speaking of the prince, real quick, what did you guys think of the scene with the father on his deathbed? I was very surprised by that. My friends were very tearful. Well, I don't think they were crying, but they, I didn't expect that, and I was like, wow, the prince actually got some character development here.
Yeah.
For once.
Yeah, it actually, honestly, it kind of reminded me of the Cinderella's, or Ella's, however you want to put it, Ella's mother's death scene. Actually, he was kind of giving him the word of wisdom. Kind of don't marry for, what was that he said again? Don't marry for duty's sake. Just marry for love.
For advantage. Don't marry for advantage. Marry for love.
Yeah, which I thought that was a nice thing right there, and it kind of reminded me of the earlier scene with Cinderella's mother, actually. Kind of, again, the parent giving the child some wisdom on that, and that was very well. The funny part was it happens the day after the party, the ball.
Yeah.
Kind of a buzzkill.
I'm like, was he that ill?
Apparently.
He was just so distraught over the mystery girl.
That's something like
cardiac arrest.
Oh no!
Cinderella gave him a heart attack. Oh well. Anyway, no. But there were two other things I wanted to point out that are just basic thoughts. One of the other little nitpicks that kind of took me out of the movie, and people will go, racist. But anytime you have black characters in a fairy tale situation, it automatically makes me go, they're probably way more interesting than our actual characters. How did they get here? What is going on?
I was thinking that.
Yeah, that was.
Oh my goodness.
There were some Chinese people as well. I don't
not
know.
Not that they weren't great actors and stuff. Well, the Chinese people were more like people who came because of the prince situation. I get that, but like the captain of the guard was a black guy, and he was really, really good. He was
awesome.
a great
Yeah,
actor.
I've seen him before in a couple things. He's actually really good.
Yeah, and I loved him in this. I was just I immediately kind of get taken out. Like, how did he get to this royal position? That would be an interesting story.
Yeah.
But then the other thing that I was. Go ahead. You're fine. Go ahead.
I was going to say that this kingdom is full of different nationalities. Everyone's welcome. Chinese, a Mexican lady was there at the ball.
Yes.
She was about to get hitched to the prince, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Was she Indian?
Well, she was Spanish, I think. But anyway, the one other thing I was gonna say was anytime there were like twice the prince mentioned that she needs to be Ella needs to be painted. She should be painted and have her portrait painted, and I kept thinking, I couldn't help it. I'm like, by Leonardo da Vinci. Anyone get that reference?
Yeah.
Drew Barrymore's Ever After.
Oh, I've not seen that.
That's actually not a bad movie.
Pretty good. I haven't seen it in a while.
It's
but
definitely that was more of what I was expecting from this. Quite honestly, I was expecting kind of like, this is the real version of Cinderella, which is kind of the way that they go with Ever After. It is more historical. It is more grounded in reality, kind of a thing.
I don't remember a fairy godmother.
There is no fairy godmother, no. But there's a lot of really good stuff in Ever After if someone wants an even more adult Cinderella. So
it's good.
Miss, what do they call you?
Never mind what they call me.
You shouldn't be this deep in the forest alone.
I'm not alone, I'm with you. Mr. What do they call you?
You don't know who I am. That is, they call me Kit, or my father does, when he's in a good mood.
On our final thoughts here, so anyway, yeah, go see this movie. Take your entire family to see it. Was your theater packed, by the way?
it wasn't terribly packed, but it was about 75%.
Yeah, there were a lot of children, and there was really only like one annoying child behind me who goes, "Is she bad?" When she's talking about the stepmother.
Every time Lady Tremaine came up, is she bad?
That's true. No, my theater was pretty packed, actually, and a lot of kids, a lot of parents with kids as well, and they just ate the movie up. I mean, they were loving it. I mean, there were some annoying kids, of course, occasionally going back and forth, going to the bathroom, but they were eating this movie up. And I think this movie is going to be a huge hit, by the way. I think it's going to be a massive hit, which I'm excited for, if for no other reason than Branagh. Because I think Branagh, I really want to see Branagh do some more directorial efforts. You know, he's had a huge success with Thor, but I'm hoping that the success of this movie will allow him to do, maybe to pursue more passion projects that he might want to direct, maybe. Because I think.
Have you heard? Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just really like this man's body of work. I mean, if you guys have seen his Henry V, then you know this guy can direct amazing movies. I mean,
he was the guy who made Thor work too. Let's be honest.
He made Thor work massively. I mean, he made Chris. I'm going to say this. He made Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston movie stars.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he made them movie stars. So, yeah, those are my final thoughts. Go see Cinderella. Well, hold on. We got one more thing to talk about. Lily James is in the title role. I thought she was great.
I thought she was fantastic.
She was lovely.
Very beautiful.
The thing that the biggest thing for any kind of protagonist in any kind of movie is that you need to see them at crazy low depths where you feel for them. That's the first part. And then the second part is you have to be completely dumbfounded that they find a way out of it. Not just that they find a way out of it, but that they can deal with it. That they put that pressure on their shoulders and they heave even though there's seemingly nowhere else to go. And man, oh man, did Lily James bring it.
Yes, she really did. And I think she's gonna be. I don't know if she'll be a massive movie star, but I think she could become the. I think she could probably become like the. What's the name of the Alice in Wonderland actress? Mia Wakawaska, something like that. It's a weird
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think she could become that type of a level of an actress where she's drawn to more character driven parts. Because I could see her doing a lot of that, these wonderful character-driven roles, and I think she has the range to do it. What did you think of her, Abigail?
I thought she was really great. I'm trying to think. She did not feel too perfect or unrelatable. I don't know if that's a thing where people feel like actors. She related well to her role. She was very personable.
Yeah, very good.
Definitely.
Good. Yeah. Anyway, folks, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up tonight. So thank you, Abigail, and thank you, Joshua, for coming on. We'll be sure to have you on again, Abigail, for another movie sometime.
Well, thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we go, I do have an announcement to make. Actually, two announcements. Again, Cliff Broadway from thewondering.net will be joining us this Wednesday for our Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring film commentary that we'll be doing. Benjamin Curley will be joining me, and as well as another Tolkien fan as well will be joining us. So I won't say who that is. But, and also, starting at the beginning of next month, in April, we'll be starting our Brad Bird retrospective series leading up to Tomorrowland. We'll be reviewing The Iron Giant, The Incredibles, Ratatouille, and Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol.
Yep.
Yeah, so we'll be doing his body of work. So yeah, Abigail, we'll have a little bit of some Pixar movies in there as well.
You might want to get her on some of those for sure.
Are you doing The Incredibles?
She was getting excited about those.
My favorite.
Yes. So
no, you don't have to.
We'll be happy to have you on. That'll be a good episode to kind of expand on. So that'll probably be a bit of a lengthy episode right there.
Don't you have one more announcement, maybe about some kind of screening that's happening?
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, let me announce. Yes, thank you, Joshua, for that. And also, please, people, purchase your tickets for Beyond the Mask. We are having a special screening for a new Christian movie that will premiere on April 16th. We will provide the show links in the description with the podcast, so we'll provide that link there. So please check that movie out. We're still trying to get some reservations in terms of the tickets. We need to have a total of 54 more tickets or 48 now before April 5th. That's the deadline. So we still have a limited amount of time left. So please purchase your tickets for this screening to happen. So help us right there.
Dream is a wish your heart makes when you're fast asleep. In dreams you will lose your heartache. Whatever you wish for, you keep.
Joshua and Abigail, thank you very much for coming onto this to the show tonight and to discuss Cinderella. And ladies and gentlemen, please check us out on Facebook, iTunes, and follow us on Twitter if you're a Twitterer or anything like that. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and have a good night. Cheers.
The dreams that you wish will come true.
I do have one more question for you guys real quickly. What do you think so far of this live action, the live action interpretations of the Disney movies? You know, because they've done Alice in Wonderland, they've done Maleficent, they've done Cinderella, and now they're going to do Beauty and the Beast. Are you guys? Do you think they're leading up to something with this whole live action, these live action worlds? Like they're going to do their own. Like Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Princess Avengers, that's what I was just thinking. Yes. Well, I don't know. We've only seen Cinderella basically, right? Did you ever see any of the others?
I've seen bits and pieces of Alice in Wonderland. I've seen bits and pieces of Maleficent. I really think that they're remix films. They really are. And I'm kind of getting over my whole snobbery with the original was great, don't change it. Because they're great stories. And if you love the story, make another version of it. But if you're just doing it to make a buck, that's where I have a problem. I think that, like I said, as long as they're trying to be a love letter, so to speak, to the original fairy tales, because that's what Walt Disney's iterations were of it. He wasn't trying to replace the fairy tales. He was trying to write a love letter to those fairy tales. Sure. And if they do the same thing, I'm happy. If they're trying to make a buck or trying to make something that appeals to an older audience, which I think is ridiculous because almost all females who these things are targeted to have no problem watching the animated versions anyway. No. So
because that's what they grew up watching, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or what they've been exposed to.
And girls are a little bit more used to like being okay with their childhood than guys are usually, you know.
Sometimes guys are really snooty and don't like animation, and because it's like childish.
Supposedly,
I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Well, they're into comic book movies and comic books.
I know. Yeah, exactly. Whatever. So I just go. As long as they're specifically doing it as a love letter and not as a cash in or this is the extreme version.
Extreme Cinderella.
So I mean, do you guys think there's something going on with all these live action movies? Do you think there might
that would be fun?
Do you think they might build up to something like that?
That would actually be amazing, but I don't know what they would do. That'd be really weird. They should do live action Emperor's New Groove.
That would be weird.
That would be amazing.
Like I've heard rumors that they might do The Little Mermaid. I don't know if you can get away with that one.
Little Mermaid meets Aquaman. Boom.
That's a little bit of a stretch to do Little Mermaid. I'm excited for Beauty and the Beast because Emma Watson and Dan Stevens. That sounds awesome.
Oh yeah. I think the Emma Watson casting is kind of a bold choice. I mean, she's a very good actress.
She's great.
And you know, she's stepped into that world of fantasy for, what was it, like 10 years with Harry Potter.
Oh, yeah.
So she does have that experience, but... I got one question to ask you guys. There was a funny part in the movie, and I think this was a huge mistake on the filmmaker's part. It's the scene where they're introducing everybody. They're announcing the names of the ladies and then the place where the prince and the king are at. They're looking at them, but there's like this huge chandelier in
their way.
In their way, and like, who made this up? Did you notice that?
Yeah, that's funny. I believe it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Were they like not even looking at each other?
No, they couldn't see the princesses.
The arriving guests. They
because the chandeliers were in the way.
There was this huge chandelier in the way, and they couldn't even see them coming down the stairs.
Because they're up on like a balcony.
Yeah,
and they're coming in from the opposite side of the room on another balcony and coming down the stairs to the floor.
Confused. Okay, that's weird.